Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith, I'm an independent Stampin' demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and today I'm creating a project for the Inspire Create Challenges design team, and it's a sketch challenge. And as I've shown you on some of my others, what I do with the sketch challenge is, first of all, I kind of take whatever it was that we were given, and I use some scrap card just to kind of create a layout to give me a sort of blank canvas to work with. So that's what we started off with, and being a Sunday, I thought, you know what, it's going to be a fun fold. So that brought me to my easy centre step card, and I kind of went, well, this panel here reminds me of this one here, and so from that we get this. So I hope you like it. I'm super pleased with it, actually. I think it's lovely, and partly because it's got some lovely gold accents from this beautiful paper called Texture Chic. Now this is in the catalogue. It's a bit of a sleeper. It is absolutely beautiful. On the one side it's gold foiled, as you can see there, lovely shine, and then super patterns on the back that are really versatile. So some seashells there. We've got kind of geometric shapes and hardwood on the back, and kind of, that's the one I haven't used yet. It's kind of all colours, so that's soft succulent in there, going through to deeper shades. This one is just beautiful, blushing petal pink actually, and gold, and on the reverse you've got these lovely floral images which would go with several of our floral suites that we've got at the moment. This one, which is kind of, again, geometric, and then almost Christmassy snowflakes on the reverse. Bit of a surprise there. Again, sort of grid lines, and then some more florals on the back, and sort of birds in the background, almost some branches. And then finally this one, which is kind of shades of Mango Melody in there, along with Pool Party. Then on the back some leaves. So yeah, really lovely. So I thought, what a better way to showcase it. And also, talking of texture, Artistically Inked is a fabulous stamp set for getting kind of texture into your stamp, into your project, without actually adding anything. So I've just used it here, you probably can't see, just to add a tone on tone background. And on the back, you can see those roses there. And the other thing I've used is stylish shapes, absolutely beautiful dies. So we've got squares and circles that die cut and add sort of pierced detail to the inside and the outside of an aperture, and then you've got the lovely banners as well. So a few bits and pieces I've used. Artistically Inked, really versatile stamp set because of the sentiments you've got here. And I've lost my little flowers. They'll turn up at some point. They're going to be attached to the back of something. But in the meantime, I've got plenty of other stamps that I can use in this stamp set. And I've used this little dot here to create those little gold shimmers on die cut circle. And this is the part of the flower. So I just took an offcut of the of some of the what's it called, brushed metallic. Now this, actually I'd only used it sort of cutting it before. I found it a little more tricky to die cut. It does go through, obviously, as you can see, but it's really thick and almost like sort of polished on the back. And you've got this in gold and rose gold. So I just used a bit of that to die cut part of this flower. So you only need a kind of a, I don't know, 2.5 by 1.5 inch, something like that, so about sort of 7 centimetres, less than 6 centimetres by probably about 3 centimetres, and I just die cut that end. And maybe that's why I find it a bit more tough to die cut, but there we go. So that's kind of where I've come from. I just think hopefully if you find that helpful. If you're doing a sketch challenge, I say for me I kind of like it to be physical. So there we go. And as you know, well, some of you will know, I do create templates for my fun folds to make sure they work. This is one that you can see here. This is inspired by one by Julie Davison. So she actually only put this to the very top. I wanted mine to be all the way down, because then I've got a nice panel on the back to write on. So, have a look, see what you think. Envelope just stamped just to coordinate. I don't often show my envelopes and then I remember. So let's get started. So having done it in Pool Party and Blushing Bride, I thought I would do the same colourway, but maybe use some different DSP as well, and see how that turns out and see which one we prefer. So to start off with then, so for the main part, the first part, you're going to need a piece of card that is, so this is 25 by 10.5 centimetres, and you're going to score this at 4 centimetres. Let me just move my things that are off camera. There we go. Okay, always make sure your trimmer is nice and flat. So 4 and 8 and 16.5. I have done this in inches as well, by the way, for UK cardstock. So you can always have a look on my blog or in the description bar below this video if you're on YouTube. Then you're just concertina folding that. So the first one is mountain, valley, mountain. I always score with the fold with the score line first and then fold it back on itself. I find that works better for me. Reinforce that with your bone folder. You want those score lines to lie nice and flat. There we go. Like so. So pop that to one side. Our centre panel then, I've cut this to 28 by 6.5, and so I'm just going to score that at 14. So very simple. So that's why I call it an easy centre step card, because obviously usually this would all be one piece of card and you'd be cutting and cutting between the score lines, which I know, depending on your trimmer, can be quite tricky. So this is an easy one because it's just, there's so many variations on this out there. Now we want some layers. So a layer of white for the back. So this is 6 by 13.5 centimetres. And you want a piece of DSP that's the same for the front. So I'm going to cut this to 6 by 13.5. And that's going to be for the front. I want a piece for that very front that is 1 centimetre by 3.5. So this is why I always keep my little bits, and that's for the front panel. So it's a dinky little piece, but I think it's worth it just for to finish it off. And then I'm going to want another piece again for the front that is 3.5 by 2.5 centimetres. So I'm going to cut a piece here to 2.5. And that's the beauty of this sort of non-directional pattern that you can sort of rotate it round. Okay. So now we need a piece of DSP to go across that back piece. So I'm going to use this one. So I'm just going to cut this piece to 10 by 8 centimetres. Actually, I'm going to cut it down the length of 10 because that's like a card front size. 10, I'm going to cut that across. And I'm going to use this bit because it's got slightly more petal pink on it, by 8. And if you wanted to be frugal, you could cut that 2 separate pieces which were narrower and have a blank bit in the middle, but I think that will do fine. So I've already die cut one of my stylish shapes. So in the stylish shapes, with the circles, this is it's about the third one. There we go, so it's this one. So that would be, actually it's number 4. So I go from 1 being the smallest, so this is the number 4 going out from the middle. And I also want to die cut a square. And I'm going to go for some, again, I think this is number 3, which I've die cut already. There we go. So that's that one there. I did play around with a larger one, but it didn't feel quite right, as you can see. So there we go. So we're going to do some stamping on these to create our background. So this is going onto Petal Pink. So I'm going to actually stamp this in a bit of our pool party. The pool party is a really pretty colour. It's a kind of a greeny blue. I'm just inking up my stamp, stamping it once in that direction, and then again just kind of looking at where that comes in. It makes a really cool background. And while I've got it out, I'm going to do my envelope as well. So here, just across the back of the envelope. And I kind of like to add a bit of interest on the front of the envelope too. And the Artistically inked is so pretty. It gives that beautiful effect of alcohol inks on there as well. I'm also going to use my smaller rose, and I'm going to kind of create a bit of a background. With the dots as well. Don't press too hard with your dots, otherwise you might end up getting that outline, a line in there as well. So I'm just going to finish that off. Mr. Gap, and then say you can just use the dots to fill in anything that you've got. So there's my little background. Now what I've done is I have then gold embossed this layer. So I'm going to grab my Versamark. I'm also going to grab a scrap of some basic, no, I'm not going to grab some scrap of basic white. I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of Pool Party as well. This is where little offcuts always come in handy. Just going to use my embossing buddy or an equivalent on here, and I'm going to come in and just create some dots on there. I'm also going to ink up my Happy Birthday from the same stamp set and just add that. You'll want a scrap of paper for this, because what we want to do now is cover these two with our gold embossing powder that comes in the Basics trio. Tap that off and you'll see we've got a nice coverage. Don't tap it too firmly, you don't want to shake it all off. And again, you know, the beauty of embossing is you can always come back and add a bit more afterwards. So there we go. I'm just going to pop that down, and I'm going to get rid of my embossing powder back into its pot, because I have been known to knock the whole thing over. Wouldn't be unusual. Bit of noise coming up now. I've got my heat tool, and I'm just going to heat from underneath on these. And as you heat, gradually you will see that change and suddenly become super shiny. There we go. And you can just see that turning there now, going from the dull to lovely and shiny. Don't overheat it, you don't want it to soak in. This one won't take as long, obviously, because my heat gun's nicely heated up. And just angle it away from your fingers, or you can use a pair of tweezers to hold your card. And then just keep having a look at it, make sure it's heat embossed. Okay. So now we've got our pieces, let's do some creating. I need to do some stamping on this edge. So I found that big rose is really pretty, but I thought actually I'm going to use this large ink splat because I think this is my favourite. And I'm just going to come down the edge of that. Leaves you plenty of space then for writing a message on the back, and the beauty of it being on the back obviously is that it keeps it private, so it doesn't have to be exposed to everybody, and it's not out on display. So I'm just going to add some Tombow to the back here, and you'll see that I'm opening this out flat. Makes it much easier to lay it on flat than it does to try and do it while it's folded up. And that petal pink just picks that up, so pretty. There we go. So that's going to be the front of our card, and that's going to be the back. And these are our other layers that we're going to have on here. So again, pop this piece in place. I'm just going to turn that because I want the stuff, the pink, to echo what's going on there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is, which is unusual, I'm going to put my piece of DSP on first. So this is my little sort of 3.5 by 2.5 centimetre piece. I'm going to pop that in there. Then I'm just going to add some adhesive to that bottom inch. And that is going to butt up straight up to that piece of DSP. Like so. You see that? Making sure that's where Tombow is really useful, to make sure that it is really nice and square. Concertina your card up and then just add adhesive to this centre section at the back, and obviously you can see the lines there as that comes down. Now I can add my teeny tiny little piece on the end. As you can see, I kind of wasn't going to until I got it together, and then all of a sudden that just, I think, just brings it back up to where it should be. I'm then going to add this. I'm just going to layer that with the border, so an even border there, just kind of for aesthetics. I'm just putting my glue on just half of that piece. And as I said, I've die cut, just as you can see from a scrap, just part of the flower, and that's going to go on the back there. And all I'm going to do is secure that in place with some of my dimensionals. So I'm going to add plenty of dimensionals onto the back here. So more dimensionals than I would usually use, but you'll see that one I've even look at that, I've even taken the backing off with it. I'm just going to offer that up, just so that I've got a little bit of the flower behind. So I'm just going to have a look and make sure I've got some adhesive on the back here. And I say not all of the pieces have come out on that, but I don't mind that. I think that's rather nice for a change, just to have a little bit in there. That's going to come in the centre of my panel. So that's broadly in the centre of our card. And all that remains is for us to cut out our sentiment. And you see here, I could have added in blue. I think the pink works well. So this is a lovely font because it's really easy to cut it out, because it is nice and square. It almost kind of reminds me of art, sort of early, either Art Deco or Art Nouveau. I think it was Art Nouveau that was this kind of blocky one, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I always get the two mixed up until I see it again. I'm like, oh, of course it's that one. So there's my two sentiments. Mini dimensionals for this time. Just pop those on the back. Again, I thought about maybe just stamping straight onto that, and I felt it just needed a little bit of an extra bit of dimension on there. Now, see, depending on your preference, you can have these at an angle or you can have them straight. See what you think. So here we have our pair of fun sketch-inspired birthday cards with our coordinating envelopes using the lovely Texture Chic paper. Blushing Bride, Pool Party, I think both work really well. I probably tend towards, not Blushing Bride, even Petal Pink. I probably tend towards the Petal Pink one, but I think both would be equally acceptable. I hope you enjoy making one with these easy centrefold, and come back and see me again soon, and please hit the subscribe button. It really does make a difference, and if you can give me a like as well, I'd be very grateful. Thanks for watching. Come back soon. Bye now.